Hello everyone, today in this video I'm going to show you how to make the slap tool where you can just click a player and they'll go flying as far as you want. If I set my walk speeds to be 100 here and I go over to this man, continue to slap him, I can't slap him up close, or I can't slap him from a distance, only until I go up close where I could slap him to oblivion. Oh, that was just a little drop. There we go. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so before I get started, let me show you exactly how this is going to work. I'm going to insert a rig builder, or I'm going to insert a rig with rig builder. And if we look inside of this guy, there's a humanoid, which all players spawn in with. If we look inside of the properties of the humanoid, which, by the way, we can find all of this when we go to the View tab and click on Explore Properties. That will pop up this little panel over here. If we look inside of the Properties panel and scroll down, we can see that there is an action to have it sit. And if we go ahead and run this game, run here, and we go inside of the rig, go into humanoid, scroll down, and click on sit. As you can see, the guy sits down and then stands up. Now the slap tool is going to make our target sit and also launch them up in the air at the same time. So in order to do that, let's make our tool. And I'm first going to start off with finding a hands, like the hand tool. Here we go. This looks like a good hand. I'm going to scale this down just a little bit. And then I'm going to rename this to handle. And then I'm going to insert a tool into workspace and place this handle into the workspace. And make sure you always get rid of any welds that are in your handle, and make sure your handle was never anchored, because whenever you equip your tool, you will teleport straight to where you made the handle and you won't be able to move. So now that we have our tool, we can just go ahead and name this to slap tool. And then we're going to insert a couple things into this hands to make it work. So first, I think it'd be pretty fun if we found a slapping audio. So if we go to audio, and I already had slap typed in, but just type in slap and then you can find a variety of slap sounds. I'm not so sure if you can hear that, but I like the baldy ruler slap, so I'm just going to insert that and I'm going to place that in my tool. And I'm going to rename this to slap. Now we can insert some scripts and remote events. So I'm going to insert a local script, and I'm going to insert a normal script, a server script. And we can name this to fire slap event. And we can name this to slap scripts, just so that we know what our scripts are in the little tab up here, just to stay a little more organized. Now we're also going to insert a remote event so that we can transfer everything from what the local script is saying to the server. So I'm going to type in everything. We're going to go inside of our local scripts and I'm going to type in everything, and I will explain what every bit of the code does. Okay, so this is the code for the local scripts, and what we're doing first is that we're making a variable to get the player, which is us, and then we're going to get the player's mouse, and then we have this variable called debounce. And what the debounce variable does is that it makes sure that the player doesn't spam the click button, so that the tool glitches out on the player, and that auto clicker is overpowered here. So it kind of just prevents the use of auto clicking and adds a little bit of a delay before the player can click again and slap the other people within the game. So once the tool has been activated, we're going to make a variable for the target, and then we're going to check if the debounce is true, which it is. And so if it's true, then we're going to find the humanoid root part of the target. And if there is a humanoid root part of the target, then we're going to set debounce to false. Because sometimes if you click into the sky, then there's not going to be a humanoid root part. And so we have to make sure that the debounce is set to false after we find the humanoid root part. And once the humanoid root part has been found, then we're going to make a couple of variables for the distance between us and the person we are slapping. And then we're going to get the variables for where the mouse is clicking from using the look vector. And then we're going to check if the distance meets a certain requirement. And so if the distance is less than or equal to 15 studs, so if it's within this 15 stud range, you can change this to however far you want. You can make it closer or farther. I chose 15. If it is within this requirement, then we are going to fire the remote event that is within our tool. And we're going to send these parameters, and a parameter is just a variable that gets sent outside of the script. And so we are just going to send these through over to our server scripts. And then after all that's been fired, we're going to wait 2 seconds. You can change this to however long you want the tool to wait until the player can use it again. I chose 2 seconds. But after 2 seconds, then we're going to set debounce back to true so that we can use the tool again. Now, we're going to go over to our server script, and we are going to code some things. Give me a little bit, and then I will explain what the code does. Okay, so this is the server scripts, and what we're doing is we're waiting for the remote events to be fired. And so on the server event, we are going to make a function using the parameters that we sent through from our local scripts. And our first parameter is always going to be us as the player, and then the second one is going to be the first variable that we sent through. So we have the target, and then the x and the y and the z variables of where our mouse clicked. So as soon as we fire this remote event, we are going to play the slap effect or the slap sound effect, and then we're going to make a variable for body velocity. And body velocity is what's going to send our player into the air. And so we're just going to make we're going to completely create a new body velocity property, and we're going to set its max force to be vector3.new math.huge, and then body velocity velocity. So we're going to set our velocity to be where our mouse clicked times a certain number. So if you want the player to go up higher in the air, then I just set the y value to be higher than the x and the z. And these numbers are what I thought works the best. I don't know why I opened that up. So you can mess around with these, but I would recommend just copying these down. And then the body velocity's parent is going to be set in the target's humanoid root part. And then we're going to make the player sit down so that it could freely fly in the air. And then we're going to wait just a fifth of a second before we destroy that body velocity, just so that they don't go flying into space. So if we put this tool into our starter pack and we play, we slap. As you can see, the player went flying at first, but that's just because this is a rig, and I'm sure this wouldn't really happen with any other players. Let me just go ahead and set my walk speed to 100 here, so I can click. Oh, I just set the rigs. Oopsies. Let me set my walk speed to 100 so that I can quickly visit this man over here. Oh, he's dead. Alright. So, let me try slapping him again. He goes kind of flying in the air. If we try slapping him again, he might go flying in the air again. So, let me insert a script into this man to make him stand up after sitting. So I'm just going to insert a script, and I'm going to type in, I'm going to make a variable called waiting, and I'm going to set it to true, because we're going to make a while loop that runs only until this variable is set to false. So we're going to say while waiting do, and just so that it doesn't crash, we're going to just put the wait, and then we're going to say if script.parent.humanoid.sit is equal to true, then and make sure always two equal signs. If it's set to true, then we are going to set waiting to false, just so that this doesn't continue to loop, and then we are going to wait 2 seconds before we set the sitting to false. So script security, oops, script.parent.humanoid.sit is equal to false. And then outside of the conditional statement, we could just say that waiting is set back to true, so that this continues to loop after our little character here is sat or stands up. So if we play it, as you can see, he doesn't go flying as much. Let me change my walk speeds back to 100. And now if I look at him from this way, I slap him, he goes kind of the direction I slap at. Sort of. In most cases he does, but yeah, this is how you make the slap tool in Roblox Studio. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for a video, I'll be happy to do it, and I'll see you in the next one.